What up, Schmoedown rockers? Okay. This week is the follow-up to the live event at San Diego. And to some respects, they do fine with what they got to do to follow up that live event, for sure. Even though it's not as satisfying, I'd say, but it becomes more when it comes to certain particular reactions to certain ones, and I will actually recommend those specifically. I usually will say my buddies and dedicated to art. I always enjoy them. They've remained one of my main go-tos amongst the reactors. There are many others. JTH is starting to crawl up on there now all of a sudden for me, and I finally gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I feel bad I didn't do that sooner. But sadly, my usual go-tos aren't what would be highlights for them. I will talk about them when we get to it for each match. And the match we got was something that was kind of slated in a cred scene that they chose to do for the post live stream versions of the San Diego live event. More so the one for part one of it, which was the undercard between Smets and Lovick. And that was announcing about the fact that only stupid answers versus the family was going to be a thing for storyline purposes, and that's what happens here. And surprisingly, no one expected it to be to where, due to scheduling, there was a scheduling conflict with one of the people involved, which would have led this to be in a potential handicap match. But then they set it up in a way that makes it more interesting to actually watch a certain particular reaction, because Robert Adams, one half of the, and I would say the more, I guess this, apparently even his own brother Chris will say this, the smarter brother, clearly the smarter one of the two, I guess, when it comes to trivia. Or at least, and it's pretty clear the lights did get to him for the most part, but eventually, over time, through the match itself, he was apparently wound up coming in. And that was apparently 2 weeks ago when they were in California for VidCon, for the, YouTube and stuff like that. And through that they were on the action. I did see them on the episode where Kojanders was on with Andrew Guy. High on that one, so I don't know if I get a chance to see all that one, but it was good for what it was. And I think it was for Homecoming, but anyway, yes. Apparently during that time frame, they were wound up being invited into seeing the Schmoedown. And all of a sudden, because Sam wouldn't make it, he had to go in. And you'll see interviews, especially from previous, between the D2A's podcast, Who Cares Anyway podcast, and the podcast episode for Call to Action. Robert Adams explains, and Chris Adams themselves explain everything there on the best they can, given the best they can of how things happened, aside from their own reaction, which was wondering how they handled it, and they handled it beautifully well, and it's probably one of the top, should be a clear case of nomination for top tier reactors of the year for sure. And because of how they tied their reaction in super well with what wound up happening with that match itself. And because of that, Robert being in it, I felt it became less botched. Because, for the most part, because they at least put up enough of a fight for the family, forcing them to have to answer questions and getting out of TKO range. So, and apparently this was better than stupid answers usually is when it comes to trivia. So, makes me wonder what that team would be if done anarchy style, which is what kind of happened here with that whole thing. And And then Chris Adams does make a thing with the post interview and kind of forcing things to go because Andrew Guy decided to do the two-pointer on it and it didn't go over well, which sadly makes him seem like the weak link in comparison to Drew McWeeny, who is the, and this just furthering the storyline of Robert Burnett and the family themselves just kind of running things in the Schmoedown for a month. And so far, aside from doing that and whatever announcements he made within the first week on that one Friday of the Merle versus Oyama match, is about as much as he's done. So I'm confused. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Robert? RMB, come on. Aside from doing what you gotta do with them, because aside from that, there hasn't been anything that makes you better than what we got out of Corruption last year. Just saying. The only thing about what we've gotten from the family has been the team itself. And that you clearly, through what you're doing, is helping yourself in managing them. And that's all that's kind of been happening. And they kind of re-showed a certain clip from that was like post the Friday match thing of part 2 for the San Diego Comic-Con, and they just showed it again just in case people who saw live stream didn't see it, I guess. And that's what they did, and that's fine. Even though it would also mean they didn't see the Dagnino thing, which, so I guess it just doesn't matter with that. But I love how they handled that, and then a match that involving someone I've been kind of wanting to talk about again, who, or at least one half of a certain particular team that decided to all of a sudden, upon having talked about them in their Inky in the Brain match. And that is Paul Preston of the Movie Guys. And oh my goodness. I do also, back to the family thing though, before I get to that. Yeah, I'm not happy with how that whole MF5 thing's going. It's blood curly boiling me, but I guess that's just, the heel. It's at least Guy and R&B doing their heel thing. But I mean, whatever, even though apparently he's truly is, despite his personality in the Schmoedown, Andrew Guy is clearly a good dude. A nice enough guy that makes Emma and even Roxy all crazy about him. Makes some guy girls. It's like, the Roxy thing was understood for storyline purposes, but kind of makes me wonder about the hell Emma thing. But anyway, how they're going to handle that. So, and at some point, where her breaking point's going to be. Because Miner's already gotten off with that. Ugh. But anyway, and then the follow-up is that their Wild Moon match is going to be against the Wildberries. Another easy win, but it's going to be a fun match of banter, so we'll get something fun, even more fun out of it than what we got in that match. And then, of course, we get a follow-up to what happened with Inky and the Brand New Movie Guys in Paul Preston versus Rachel Silverstrini. Rachel Silverstrini apparently is one of the most, though technically considered a face, she has a little bit more of an edge to her. Not quite enough to consider her a tweener, but she's very much welcomed in the dungeon. And has made her presence welcomed in the dungeon for sure. Or at least the dungeon page. So, which makes me wonder if she'll join. And if her and Smets will be partners. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. I'd be glad with that, unless something else comes about that somehow comes across as being a better idea. I don't know what that would be, but it would make me seem interested. But I'm fine with what we've been getting out of Inky in the Brain. A lot of people are starting to like them in the same sense as what happened with whatever that team Perry Nemiroff was on. That had that one surprise victory, but never did any. And the Movie Guys was the one victory they did have on them since they tried facing the family, speaking of which. And that, I don't think anybody was expecting them to win that one. But that was more on Inky in the Brain. Or at least Devon Stewart opening his mouth. despite Rachel Silverstrini saying no. And that opening thing was just hysterical. I mean, it seemed a little cartoony, but it makes sense given, I guess, Paul Preston has some history at Disney, with being at Disney in some sense. So it comes off Disney Channel in a way, but it works for them, so I'm able to vibe with it better. But even though it also seems like, heck, if you think about it, Disney didn't Disney Channel at one point possibly play a Bill and Ted episode, play a Bill and Ted movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure possibly, on the channel? Because it was definitely very Bill and Ted. I wonder if that was an intention, because there was something Bill and Ted-ish about it, but in a more Jersey Shore-ish kind of way, just less dumb about it. So, whatever they're doing, it works. I kind of didn't mind the protein thing, whatever they did, even though that had to have been a mess to clean up. Poor Alex Berzoni and Brandon Hanna for that reason, and anyone else behind the scenes who had to clean that mess. Even though I wouldn't have wasted the protein, I'd have just drank the dang thing. I mean, but whatever. It works, and though he didn't get to have his perfect round, he at least, I think for the most part, at least within round 2, made up for that. And just having the luck of Spinner's Choice and being able to pick certain categories within, I think, directors he chose, so, which was, for the most part, I guess, at least for him, a good choice. So, I mean, also speaking of that, for the reactors, on that one, Call to Action had Rachel Silverstrini on doing a girls' night thing, or at least a better idea girls' night than what I guess Collider Live Collider itself, has decided to do lately, which is just an interview show now, and I'm like, I like the banner thing you did before. That was a lot more fun. But whatever. But anyway, I enjoyed that one, especially some of my favorite ladies that have been around and as part of both Action Army and the Dungeon. Kelsey Kirkland, Alex McFarland, and Danielle Joyce, even though I don't talk or mention too much to her as much as maybe Alex or definitely Kelsey, who's kind of at least tried to help me through sometimes with when the whole issue with Smets. Even though, I didn't, at least it held me over for a while up until I had to press record. So yes, and you guys are doing well, and I'm glad, Paul Preston, you did get a win. Does it upset me Rachel didn't? So I was kind of in a tough spot because of her involvement in the Dungeon page, and Preston being one of the only other, or just the movie guys in general being the only other people involved besides Smets that I know have actively, that are among the competitors right now that have actually bothered to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for that. Speaking of that, Yoshi something, the name was cool, and yet I'm blanking on it, and I should have wrote it down, and I'm sorry, but it was started off with Yoshi and then something else. Thank you for subscribing. I very much appreciate it, as well as a fellow person in Collider through the Schmoverse of Collider Live, more so Collider Live, and in Movie Trivia Schmoedown. Garth McMurray, thank you for subscribing as well. I mean, you're the only ones I know that have. Thank you. And anyone else who has at this point, I appreciate them as well. When you do subscribe, please also hit that notification bell and click all if you have that option. I do appreciate that. Also I forgot the hat, and yes, I do wear a shirt. And check out the review. It's a bit more long-winded than this review here. And Paul, you're doing good, man. I'm glad you did finally get a victory, and that opening was fun. Though my choice for thumbnail may not seem like much of anything, but anyone who knows just my channel in general will understand why I chose it, because it's stupid for me, especially since I do album reviews of the rock kind. So yeah. Why wouldn't I have used that weird little thing that happened? I'm like, I'm using that as a thumbnail, and that's what's gonna happen. Even though I could have used the surprise thing at the thumbnail, or the whole weird "I'm in a fort," all that stuff. That was just so like, oh my god, he built a fort. Oh, he built a fort. I'm in a fort. What do you want? It's like, bro, just. Just the right amount of Disney and the right amount of Jersey Shore without the wrong amounts of hamminess on both ends, making it to the extent of certain spectrums of cringe without doing that. I think they did pretty well. I enjoyed that. Made it kind of want to root for them a little bit, even though, yeah, they're trying to go for that more meat-headed kind of heel, headed protein and possibly energy. What was that? Uva Balls. This is not sponsored by Uva Balls, I'll tell you that. Let me know, how do you find this? Because I don't think I've ever seen an Uva Balls. Though I will say, this can then be sponsored by Bang instead. So there you go. Other than that, I enjoyed what we got. I enjoyed this week for what it is. And it definitely helped with some of the reactions we've gotten this week. More so just seeing everyone else who knows the fellow reactor who's done it. And yeah, I do also agree with the idea coming off of last night, which this is Monday upon this time, with the main podcast, which they did have Robert on, of what they thought of doing a tournament, a fan-based sort of tournament, but with specifically for the reactors page. Which, by the way, also, first time I decided to give Abby Friel a shot, and I actually would highly recommend watching them, especially if you are new to the Schmoedown and you want a more condensed idea of the Schmoedown actual match, and a better idea of a recap. If you kind of like what I do, go to them. And also shout out to someone who's, I think, is trying to come back out of the dark, and welcome back, Christopher Woodburn. I know you took apparently a week off, Spence had told me. And I thought, I was kind of worried because I didn't know that's what you do. I was worried that you got hit by like a hacker or something. That's why I threw that out there, and I'm glad Spence cleared things up, so now I know from here on out what you do. So, yes, and thank you. And thank you and I'm guessing you've subscribed, but I'm not sure it tells me that you did, so, but I'm sure you bothered to watch, and I know you do. And you've been my number one avid supporter amongst the fandom of the Schmoedown, especially those that are amongst those that are among the fan leagues. Aside from technically Smets, even though now he's an actual Schmoedown competitor, but you get my point. Oh, and yeah. Once again, guys, hit that. What did y'all think of this week's Schmoedown with the family versus Only Stupid Answers, the way that it turned out, as well as the Rachel Silverstrini versus Paul Preston? What do you think of those? The announcements going into what we were going to get for the Arizona and the New York live event, and I guess the Orlando one, more so. Those ones are going to be interesting. Chance versus William versus the Cobra versus Beast is going to be interesting. Jens Ellison versus William the Beast Bibiani, which Chance is definitely going to need it, but maybe kind of sort of William given the circumstances of what has happened. But William doesn't have as much to lose, given that he has a number one contendership. So, but if he throws that all of a sudden in that match and makes that the shocker of the entire thing, oh boy, that's gonna hurt. But anyway, yeah. So, other than that, and of course the Arizona match of undercard of, I guess it's undercard? with Late to the Party versus Wild Bears, I don't know who to pick with that one at all. No, I would probably prefer Late to the Party because at least I don't have what happened earlier in the year with the flossing the belt from Makuga. Even though he served his time. But still, either way, it's a live event. It'll hopefully be just as fun, if not as funny as what happened there. And I can't wait to see what happens there. I cannot wait. Anyways, what did you guys think of that match? Of the matches again this past week? Anything leading up to the live events? Maybe leave a comment below. Let me know, guys. Whether it be here or in my posts through the whether it be here, leave a comment below here, or you can link in the description below to my Facebook page where you can like and follow me there. Also, rock that like button, thrust you must, not only there, but also on this video, as well as trying to do the one thing with the, as well as, you know, hitting the subscribe button and hitting that and clicking that notification bell to help get notified of my videos. So it keeps me going, keeps me somewhat going, I guess, or gets me out in the ethers at least, in hopefully a good way. And that's about it, guys. As usual, keep it random, keep it real, keep it rocking in the Schmoedown. If you smell what the movie trivia Schmoedown and Schmoedown Rocks is cooking.